Me again. It's Friday, the 25th of Jan, and today I thought I would just tell you a little story. It's something that happened to me probably, well, it was last year. I'm trying to think when it was. I don't know. It was months ago anyway. It was ages ago, but it's like always stuck with me. It might even have been in the summer last year. I can't remember. So I hope you're sitting comfortably with a cup of tea. I'm having a cup of tea now. And I'll tell you the story. So it's, I was in the supermarket, as I very often am, like usually on a daily basis, because I'm kind of not that organised and that I can do a weekly shop. So usually every day I'm running around like needing to pick up bits. Don't recommend that, by the way. Better to be organised. Anyway, I was in the supermarket and I was doing a big shop, so my trolley was full to the brim, you know, and I had to buy stuff like washing liquid and kitchen roll and all that jazz. So I'm standing at the till now, and there's a man in front of me, a kind of elderly man, and then there's an older lady in front of him. So we're just standing waiting. I was in no rush whatsoever. I was just like waiting for my turn. I think I'd put my stuff on the belt. And I became aware that there was obviously an issue at the till. So the lady, she was quite elderly to be fair. I think that she was struggling to pay her shopping. I think it was something to do with she couldn't remember the PIN, but then when they were trying to do it the other way, it wasn't working either. So I was standing there, and I just had the feeling, the sense that I should go and pay for her shopping. And I thought, right, okay, is this just me trying to like make things happen, or? But I kind of sensed it was a God thing, like go and pay for her shopping. I kind of sensed God telling me to go and do it, and like to the extent that my heart was kind of like beating faster, and I'm like, oh, okay, God, do you really want me to do this? And like, you know, I've done similar things other times. It's not like I would never consider doing it, but I was looking at her shopping, I was looking at my trolley, and I'm like, okay, that's going to cost a lot of money. That's a big weekly shop, or you know, big shop that I've just done. And I was thinking, oh well, I guess if it's like 20 quid or something, that's okay. So I was trying to listen out to what was happening, because as I say, there was a guy in front of me, and then I heard the guy at the checkout say, so it is actually, it's £45 something. And I'm like, oh, £45? I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I going to explain this one? Like, I've got my trolley up to here, and I'm going to have this additional payment of £45. My husband's going to be like, what were you doing in Sainsbury's, you know? But it was just such a strong sense that I felt like I had to do it. So I kind of walked past the other man and walked up to the woman, and I said, I had my card, because I've got my card out by this time, and I said, listen, let me get that for you if you like. Is that okay? She's like, oh right. So I paid the £45, I repeat, and she it's so funny looking back, because she I don't even think she said thank you. She just, like, the guy who was doing the checkout just right, that's you, gave the ticket, give the receipt to the woman. I was now standing back in line behind the man. She just walked away. She didn't look back, she didn't say thank you, she just walked away. And I stood there and I'm like, seriously, what just happened there? It was weird, because it was almost as if it hadn't happened. It was almost as if no one had seen it happening or something, because no one had any reaction to it. Now, hear me right, I wasn't doing it to get a reaction. I didn't even, if I'm being honest, I didn't really want to do it anyway. But I really sensed God pushing me to do it. So she'd walked off. The man in front of me hadn't even looked sideways at me. Guy at checkout, whatever. And I just stood there, and I had to wait a bit because the guy in front was going through the till. And I was just thinking, I'm like, what on earth just happened there? That was a really bizarre thing to happen. And why didn't she say thank you? And, you know, I wasn't doing it for my glory. I was doing it because I sensed God telling me to do it. So I was trying to be obedient to him. And I was like, right, God, I did it, but I don't get it. I don't know what that was about. And you know what? It just came to me. And again, I really sensed God speaking to me. Now, this is not an audible thing. This probably may sound weird to some people. It's not an audible thing. But I sensed just in my spirit, because the whole thing had been like kind of like I'd felt compelled to do it. And I sensed God saying to me, that happens to me all the time. And I'm thinking, what do you mean? But it came to me, you know, Jesus laid down his life, and he did that for everyone. We make a choice if we want to accept that or not. And a lot of the time, people choose to completely ignore what he's done or reject it. And I started thinking about what had just happened, how I had felt. Obviously, a very small thing, it wasn't a major thing that had happened. But I just thought of the feeling of, oh, right, okay, so I've just like paid your debt, if you like, this woman's debt. And I honestly don't even think she said thank you. She just walked away. And I thought, yeah, don't we do that all the time? To Jesus, all the time. I think it just really is something that stayed with me. I was thinking of, you know, the woman who obviously was aware of what I had done. She was part of what I had done, so she couldn't deny it. Yet she chose to not really acknowledge it and to walk away. So that was her choosing. And then the man behind, or the man who was in front of me, the other guy waiting in line, he chose to completely ignore the whole thing. It was like he hadn't even seen it. Like I wasn't there or something. I cannot explain how bizarre it was. But it was like he chose to, you know, so there's different groups of people, and there are people like the women who kind of maybe know about Jesus, have heard about him, maybe in their childhood or something, but they kind of choose to not acknowledge him. And then there are those who are maybe more like the man, who don't really know much about him, have no wish to, and just don't acknowledge him at all. So I don't know if that speaks to anyone, but it certainly spoke to me that day. And I'm like, God, may I not be that person who, after all that you've done for me, is not thankful and does not have a grateful heart. I don't want to be that person. So that whole thing was not about me, and it was not about bigging myself up because I paid for someone's shopping, big deal. It wasn't that, because actually in my heart of hearts I didn't really want to, if I'm being honest, because I knew my own shopping was going to be a lot of money. So certainly not to big myself up. The whole thing actually pointed back to Jesus and to people's reactions to him, and it was just a powerful thing. And that doesn't happen often, particularly when I'm in the supermarket. I must say, I don't generally hear from God when I'm in the supermarket, but to me that was such a God thing. And if that story speaks to anyone, I hope it does. Let me know. Yeah, and the verse that came to me when I was thinking about this, well, actually 2 verses, but in Deuteronomy 30, 19 to 20, it says, I choose to love the Lord, my God, obey him and commit myself firmly to him. He is the key to my life. So that's how I want to live my life. That's Deuteronomy 30, 19 to 20. But then this verse, I think, sums up the whole story. And it's a verse that's in Romans, again, one of my favourite books, if not the favourite book in the Bible. Romans 5, verse 8. And it says, but God shows his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. So Jesus did what he did on the cross, knowing, so he paid our debt, like I paid the woman's debt in the shop, knowing full well that people would reject him, turn their back on him, badmouth him. And, you know, would I have paid that debt for that woman if I knew that what her reaction was going to be? I would like to say yes, I would, but who knows? God knows. That wasn't the point of this. But yes, Jesus chose to do that while we were still sinners, he died for us. So he showed his love abundantly for us, and he has given us all free will, and he wants us to choose him. But he's a gentleman, but as I've said before, he will never force anyone. We all have that choice. So yeah, I hope that has been encouraging or something. And do comment, like, share if you if it's helped or anything. So it's Friday. Enjoy your weekend, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.